Hi, my name is Ellie Salahub, that's S-A-L-A-H-U-B, and I reside in Lebanon County. I am adamantly opposed to the proposed Williams Atlantic Sunrise Expansion Pipeline because of the potential and real threats of this project to our personal safety and our environment. Lebanon County has the privilege and task of protecting critically sensitive environmental regions, the Kittatinny Ridge and its corridor, which occupies the northern half of the county, and the Furnace Hills area in the southern portion of the county, which is part of the nationally recognized multi-state greenway, the Highlands. The Kittatinny Ridge provides us with clean, reliable drinking water, recreational opportunities, including the Appalachian Trail, and a plethora of wildlife and habitat areas. The Kittatinny Ridge is recognized as a globally significant migration flyway for tens of thousands of raptors and millions of songbirds. These migratory birds include significant populations of endangered and threatened species. 80% of the Kittatinny Ridge is covered by forest and shrub habitats, which serve to protect our water supplies and provide for a diversity of indigenous flora and fauna. Energy production and transmission are recognized by Audubon, Pennsylvania, and the Appalachian Trail Conservancy as perhaps the largest threats to disturb and fragment large tracts of this contiguous forest area that will degrade wildlife habitats and decrease water quality. It is important to note that the Pennsylvania Appalachian Trail Act of 2008 requires municipalities to protect the natural, scenic, historic, and aesthetic resources along the trail and its related landscapes. The Highlands are the portion of the Appalachian Mountains from south central PA through New Jersey and New York to northwestern Connecticut, forming a vital link between the Berkshires and the Blue Ridge Mountains. The Highlands Conservation Act of 2004 recognizes the national significance of the water, forest, agricultural, wildlife, recreational, and cultural resources of the Highlands region. The purpose of the Act is to assist the states of Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania to conserve priority land and natural resources in the Highlands region. The Highlands contains 31 critical treasures in Pennsylvania that include the Furnace Hills of Lebanon and Lancaster counties. It provides critical habitat areas for native plants, birds, and animals. This region is also the source of high-quality waters for both aquatic resources and water supplies in southern Lebanon County. Lebanon County has already made commitments to the conservation of the highlands in the county. In January 2007, the Lebanon County Board of Commissioners signed a resolution in support of the implementation of the spirit and intent of the Highlands Conservation Act and the protection of the Highlands region in Pennsylvania as an area rich in natural resources, which are important to the environmental quality and economic prosperity within the Commonwealth and our county. We cannot allow these areas to be impacted by high-pressure pipelines. So I would please ask the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to deny this application. Thank you.
Hello, my name is William Houston. I drove here today from Binghamton, New York. because this pipeline is very grave interest to me because of the impacts that it will have on my watershed. While there is a moratorium on fracking in New York right now, the flow of water does not follow geopolitical boundaries. And there are, about a year and a half ago, I counted 98 unconventional gas wells in Pennsylvania, upstream of where I get my water from, 98 fracked wells, and there's been quite a few incidents of leaks and contaminated water supplies. This pipeline, the Atlantic Sunrise, will cause a great increase of fracking in northeast Pennsylvania, Susquehanna County, Bradford County, and a few others. I want to tell all the landowners here that the best thing you can do is write this down. Letter to rescind. Look for a website called stopthepipeline.org and find the letter to rescind and send it to Williams. If you've allowed them to enter your land for surveys, or if you've signed an agreement with them, sign this letter to rescind, get it notarized, and send it to Williams, and make them take your property via eminent domain. It will add cost to them, and it will increase the chances that they will withdraw this application. And that is really one of the few hopes of stopping this pipeline. Make them take your property. Don't sign. The next thing is, I want to ask FERC, why haven't you had one of these scoping hearings in Susquehanna County where this pipeline is going to begin? I really think it's a good idea if you hold a scoping hearing in Susquehanna County where grave impacts are going to be suffered for this pipeline, which many other people have pointed out is going right to Cove Point, Maryland, where it will be exported. The gentleman from Clean Air Council, Sam, earlier mentioned a very wonderful decision that came out of the D.C. Circuit Court. There was another decision from the D.C. Circuit Court that came right after that one that wasn't so wonderful. It was called No Gas Pipeline versus FERC. And what that decision said was basically a group of people from New York City said, FERC in the EIS for the Spectra pipeline failed to examine the effects of radon that's in the gas on the people consuming the gas in New York City. It's a violation of NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA. And what the D.C. Circuit Court said was, you don't have standing to bring this lawsuit for us to review whether FERC violated the law or not, because you haven't proven you've been injured by radon. So get this, people. This is really important. You have very limited legal rights of review if they decide to permit this process. So if I were you, I would organize everybody up and down this pipeline, knock on doors, and get ready to lock down and put your bodies on the line. Because from what I've learned in following the Constitution Pipeline process and a few other FERC projects over the last 4 years, is that FERC is basically an unaccountable agency. The president appoints the commissioners, and the Senate confirms the commissioners, but basically the president has very little oversight over the day-to-day operations of FERC. Neither does Congress. FERC is basically a rogue agency. I just recently found out that FERC is not funded by Congress, by congressional appropriations. FERC is funded by industry. So I want to read something. I just want to read part of the Natural Gas Act. I want to read two sections of the Natural Gas Act, and I appreciate you letting everybody go a little bit over, because we have so few speakers. The first, and this relates to Williams' safety record, which is atrocious. So I'm going to read from 15 U.S.C. section 717F, little c, 1a. All right, so here it is. Little c, I'm sorry, F. Forgive me. Certificate of public convenience and necessity. No natural gas company, upon completion of no natural gas company or person which will be a natural gas company upon completion of any proposed construction or extension shall engage in the transportation or sale of natural gas subject to the jurisdiction of the Commission, or undertake the construction or extension of any facilities therefore, unless there is in force, a certificate of public convenience and necessity issued by the Commission. At the beginning of the Constitution Pipeline is a compressor station called the Williams Central Station. It's been built. They did not have a FERC permit. It was built without a certificate of public convenience and necessity. This is a clear violation of the Natural Gas Act, which I just read you. Now, the next section I want to read you is 717. Sorry, let me give you the full citation. 15 U.S.C. 717 F little e. This is little e. This is the law. The granting of certificate of public convenience and necessity, except in the cases governed by the provisions contained in subsection ... A certificate shall be issued to any qualified applicant, therefore authorizing the whole or any part of operation, sale, service, construction, extension, ... if it is found that the applicant is able and willing to properly do the act and perform the service proposed, ... Otherwise, such application shall be denied. I assert to you that Williams has one of the most atrocious safety records in the industry today. They clearly do not have the capability to operate this pipeline according to the rules of the Commission. Therefore, you should deny this permit. I want to say one more thing. This has to do with the quality of the environmental impact statement, which I have seen on a different project, the Constitution Pipeline. And other people here today in the red shirts made a comment about this, that Cove Point really should be scoped in the environmental impact assessment. The other thing, this is what I saw. Let me show the audience here. This is 313 cases of water contamination due to gas drilling and fracking, shale gas extraction in 6 counties in northeast Pennsylvania. And the little black dots, which they can see, are gas wells. And some of those gas wells are in my watershed. These impacts were not scoped in FERC's environmental impact assessment for the Constitution Pipeline. This is in violation to the recent DC Circuit Court decision that the gentleman from Clean Air Council mentioned. FERC is on notice. You need to take into account the impacts of these people that don't have clean water to drink for this pipeline. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Gary Gross. I live in Pine Grove Township, Schuylkill County. That's Gross, my last name. My first name is Garry, 2 R's. And I wasn't going to come tonight because my brother has the same problem down in Conestoga, Pennsylvania, and that the pipeline's going across his property also, proposed to. And it's proposed to go across mine. And he and I have talked numerous times about it, and the reason I wasn't going to come, because it almost seems like it's a done deal. And if it is, I'd say shame on you guys. I don't know if it is. I don't know that for a fact. It just seems like Williams put a lot of money into some facilities already that are already established. And I'm no computer guru, so I wasn't going to come, but I thought, well, I'm just going to pop online after work and see what I can pull up. And this is actually the list of safety violations. Now, this is since 1986, but it's in the amount of $42,998,000 of violation, like recorded incidents. That's the money that was involved with it. So I am a property owner. I have 6 acres in Pine Grove Township. It was all wooded when my wife and I bought it, and I like it that way. And we're actually in a rural preservation property, which is you're only allowed to remove 20% of the trees. Another reason we purchased that property and built a house on it. And right now we probably have 15% of the trees already taken out around our house where we built. And then I even brought this up to Williams at one of their open houses, and I spoke with a Gill and somebody else. I told them about that. I said, well, you're proposing to take 3/4 of an acre of my trees out, all for the sum of about $4,200, which I think is a joke. Because I told them the minimum I would feel as though I should be compensated for would be the property value. 3/4 of an acre in our area, probably $35,000 or so. But in any case, they never did respond back, because if they come through and take another 3/4 of an acre, I'm over what my rural preservation lot is allowed to have. Maybe I did not give them permission to cross my property. So far, they are not allowed on my property. They have called me numerous times. My wife and I are gonna stand our ground, because We've raised 4 children in that area, and for them to file eminent domain on a property that I've worked hard to purchase and maintain, and for them just to come in and take it, I think is wrong, especially when they're going to send the majority of the gas overseas. And I looked that up online too, because I thought, and it's, anybody that has a computer can look it up, it's right there. They already have, I think 50% going to Japan and another 50% to another country, and it's like, what I was told, just like with the presentation in the beginning, this is for the benefit of our country. I don't think it is. I don't see how that can be. And the other thing up my way, and I asked the representative from Williams when she came to my house and visited with me, I said, how do you keep, if you're familiar with Tower City area, I'm not far from Tower City, there is off-road vehicles that come from New Jersey, Ohio, I don't know where all, and they travel in Roush Creek area, which is an off-road park. I said, this is going to be a conduit from the north to the south in our state. How are you going to keep four-wheelers and motorcycles and such vehicles off of my property and everybody else's property? And she goes, well, we do have a problem with that. That was her answer. And it's like, and she said, we could put a fence up on either side of your property so that they can't go through. Well, they're going to get around the fence. Right now they don't, because it's all woods, it's all rocks. And the other problem would be, if they do travel that route that they can't detect them, is erosion. And there's also a lot of deer hunting goes on in our area. And if it does erode, I'm not saying Williams, I mean, I do see they have a safety issue, but I'm not saying they would do defective work. But if there's firearms in the area and from erosion, the pipeline gets, she told me they have 3 feet of cover. If on some of the ups and down hills it's less than 3 feet, then there's firearms in the area. What's going to keep that from piercing the line? And I looked up with the explosion, the one in Virginia in 2008, and I saw that what I read on the internet was there was a gentleman 400 yards away that he could feel the blast from that explosion, which is a quarter of a mile. So that means it's going to affect a quarter of a mile on each side of the pipe, which is a half a mile area, which would actually hit 81 where I live. It would be devastating. And that to me is an environmental problem. And another thing that I have, and people have refuted it, but it came from my brother inquired it. He actually called Wells Fargo Mortgage Company. And this is actually an email from Wells Fargo Mortgage Company in wherever they were, Bell Avenue, Des Moines, Iowa. The underwriter said, and I'll read it, I just spoke with underwriting, and unfortunately Wells Fargo would not be able to lend on a property that has a natural gas pipeline through it. I checked to see if this was something that was state specific, but we cannot do it in all 50 states. I've heard since then that this was from my brother. My brother did not lie to me. He's the one that called the gentleman and forwarded me the email. Now, I tried calling before I ever presented this to anybody. He had a phone number. He never returned my call because I wanted to see if it was actually true. But in any case, they're offering me $4,200, give or take, is what they said about what I would get for a piece of my property that just say it's worth $280,000 right now. After that pipeline goes through, if somebody can't get a mortgage on my house, what do you think it's worth? I mean, that to me, you'd have a whole stretch of properties that will be worth a lot less money So that to me is an environmental impact on a whole community of depression. So that's about all I have to say, other than I agree with if they already have a right-of-way somewhere, why disrupt thousands of other people's lives to put another line in when they can upgrade one that's already has a right-of-way for it? Thank you.